Greetings to all. One of the things that we are here to do is to be our brother's keeper. And we can do it by going around, visiting some of those folks who are in the shelters, speaking with them, talk with them, find out what are some of their problems. And go in and do that. I have been doing that for them since after burial. And a lot of the times we wonder why are so much of our people are still in the shelters. But the long and short of the story is they are there because they don't have a roof over their head. Where they used to live is no longer existed. And some of them are willing, if a piece of tarpaulin is placed on the roof, they will go back there and dwell in their home, because there is where their comfort are, and they can meet their needs, try to cook something for themselves. They are willing to help themselves. As we all know, Union Island is a land of unity, but sometimes we tend not to display that in public, but in our heart, we have a mindset for each and every one of our brothers and to be our brother's keeper. We are a resilient people. As history tells, when things are not going right, we speak out and we act out. We are not here to fight against anybody. We are here to try and work together for the betterment of our people. In 1979, on the 5th of December, there was a general election in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the cry of the people was hoping that the government then would have changed, so that the people of the Grenadines in particular, supporting the opposition leader at that time, thought that he would have won the election. And I could remember on the 6th of December, I was sitting right by Ms. Idris John's step there, and a crowd of people, all the senior citizens of the island, come out. Tantima, Ms. Popo, Auntie Millie, Tanjane, Wally, and you could name all those senior citizens that come out and they say, wow, we could do now. Because James Fitzallen Mitchell, who was the opposition leader, did not won the election. And we know we were told that we're going to eat salt, or we're going to eat grass and suck salt. But Union Island people are the people who over the years have strived and fight and do all in their powers to develop this little bit of island that we have here. The people of Union Island, both before me and even before my parents, there was the merchant owners, vessel captains and owners for years that were flying the trade from Argentina in the south to Florida in the north, all along the Central American coast, Panama, Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, you name it. They were all right in those trades, those routes. Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, you name it. And out of that, we had some of the most productive sailors on the National Bulk and the House Line, where we make a name for ourselves out there in the international world as seaman, sea captain, and seafarers. Brothers and sisters, we have a country to build. And with all the determination the muscles, the strength, the spirit that we have, we can rebuild Union Island to what it was pre-burial, and even better than it was then. Our education system right now is in shambles. Why? Because of several reasons. I know time and time when we had representatives from Union Island who were top scholars at some of the leading institutions in St. Vincent. We can still do it, and we are going to do it in the future. We have engineers and other scholars who have been in England after the Second World War, where there was a heavy repatriation, or how should I put the right word is, migration of nationals and citizens of Union Island, going to rebuild London after World War II. And one person of such person who experienced that experience in London after Hurricane Beryl said to me, "This disaster reminds me of the day I landed in London and I look at all the destruction around. Union Island reminds me on the 2nd of July what it was like there in London and the other European countries because of the war." We had a natural disaster. It wasn't a man-made war. It wasn't a man-made disaster. Although evidence could show in the direction that it is otherwise. But brothers and sisters, we have a country to build. And if we don't do it, if we don't get together, if we don't go around and see the needs of our brothers and sisters and work together to make sure that every roof is being covered, every citizen of Union Island, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the rest of the Grenadines, have the best coming out of burial. If we fail to do that, we'll be failing our children in the future to come. We have a country to build, and we can build our country by putting mechanisms in place to make sure that the necessary things are made available so that our people, it is readily available to our people. We have them on the ground in Clifton. But for some reason, there's a bottleneck. And one of the reasons for that bottleneck is because there isn't assessors on the ground who is going around making the necessary assessment and coming up with the priority homes that are needed, or the priority roofs that are needed to cover. We have senior citizens who are dying in St. Vincent presently now, begging to be sent back home. But their roofs are not yet covered. How can we find ways and means of doing these things? My brother to my right here, he has his roof in Clifton. He's out here speaking, but his roof is to be covered. Matthias Alexander. And he cannot even get the help, physically, materially, and otherwise, to have his roof covered. It hurts me sometimes to know that I am only one person. And I know several of you here can say the same thing. Because if we could have cloned one another to make sure that the things that we want to see happen here on Union Island happen in a more speedily manner, it will be to the best advantage and benefit to the people of this our beloved community. Brothers, let's say a nation that feeds itself is a strong nation. And we here in Union Island have a serious problem where we can't even plan. This is just the peak of our rainy season. But when you look around, there is nothing but shrubs and vines growing in the community. We hear of zero hunger. We hear of backyard gardening. We hear of all these other things, means and ways of people empowering themselves in order to feed themselves, to eliminate or cut back on the import of foreign goods and services that we get from overseas. We thank all the technology and everything that is out there. But with more tangible help from our local authorities, putting in place the necessary or enforcing the laws that are on the books, where let loose animals and season is concerned. Because as far as we know, in the past we had a community understanding where you let your animals go in the morning and make sure that they are penned in the evening. But it seems as though lawlessness take over where that is concerned now. And we have to respect every one of us and people who are making the sacrifice to put the seed in the ground. In order for it to grow, let us please tie up our animals and make sure that we protect our brothers and sisters produce and their hard labor and service that they render in this community. Brothers and sisters, let us continue to work together for one another in the best interest of our community. Let our children see that we are a resilient people and hardworking and determined people to rebuild our community United. Thank you.